If you watched Infinity War and Endgame and you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I'm totally ready for Avengers Doomsday, you're probably not. And hey, I don't mean that in some gatekeeping way at all. What I mean is, Doomsday isn't just your standard next-in-line Avengers sequel. No way. It is a massive, unprecedented convergence of 3 entirely separate universes. We're talking the MCU Multiverse Saga, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men all literally crashing into one single film. If you walk into that theater without the right context, you're going to be completely lost while everyone else in the audience is losing their minds. This is the absolute only guide you actually need to be fully prepared.
Now, I know. There are literally dozens of guides out there right now telling you to watch 60+ hours of content before this drops. And I mean, yeah, technically they're not wrong if you want all the raw lore, but here's the thing nobody is telling you. Most of that stuff doesn't directly affect what you'll actually experience in the theater. So we are cutting out those 60+ hours of fluff. We're focusing on just 11 essential projects. Everything on this curated explainer has a direct, undeniable narrative line right to Doomsday. No filler, just exactly what you need.
Okay, so with Robert Downey Jr. actually coming back not as Tony Stark, but as Doctor Doom, facing off against multiple colliding universes, we literally have to start our foundation at number 1, Avengers Endgame. This is your absolute baseline. Everything happening right now in the multiverse saga, every branching timeline, every alternate universe, every weird paradox, it all traces right back to what went down here. It establishes the core time travel mechanics and shows exactly how alternate realities were spawned without anyone really cleaning up the mess. Tony Stark's sacrifice literally reshaped the entire future of the MCU. If Endgame feels completely fresh in your memory, I promise you every single other project on this list is going to connect so much faster. It's absolutely worth a quick rewatch.
Which brings us to, honestly, the single most important project on this entire list, Loki, specifically seasons 1 and 2. If you only have time to watch one single thing from this entire explainer, watch Loki. This show is where you learn what the TVA actually is, what the sacred timeline really means, and what timeline branching looks like in practice. It also introduces this crucial concept of a variant, which is basically just an alternate version of someone from a branching timeline. But most importantly, season 2 shows you what Loki's final pivotal role in the multiverse actually becomes. That exact setup feeds directly into the events of Doomsday. Seriously, do not skip either season.
Next up is Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the movie that really cracked the door open between universes. It was the very first time the MCU showed different Spider-Man from entirely different timelines existing in the exact same space on screen. And crucially, it showed us the consequences of doing that. It proved that ripping open the multiverse comes with a massive, chaotic cost. An idea that Doomsday is basically going to multiply by 1,000. Oh, and as a quick aside, Peter Parker's story does continue in the brand new day release dropping on July 31st, so if you're already rewatching No Way Home, you might as well stay in that lane.
Okay, so understanding the specific threats of a multiverse is crucial, which leads us right into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. There is one concept from this movie that is going to matter way more than anything else. Incursions. Essentially, an incursion is what happens when 2 universes collide, resulting in the total destruction of one or both of those realities. Terrifying, right? With all these major players from different universes being yanked into one storyline right now, the threat of incursions isn't just some background noise. It is the central conflict in Doomsday. You want to watch this movie specifically to lock that concept right into your brain.
It might be a bit controversial. Number 5 is Thunderbolts. Now, personally, I didn't think this was a particularly amazing Marvel movie, but for Doomsday Prep specifically, it punches way above its weight. Why? Because the post-credits scene was directed by the Russo brothers themselves. The exact same directors behind Infinity War, Endgame, and the upcoming Doomsday came back specifically to shoot that one setup scene. So even if you feel the same way I did about the movie itself, you gotta watch it all the way through to the end. Do not leave early. That post-credits scene alone entirely earns its spot on this list.
Moving right along to number 6, the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is the MCU's official introduction to the new core team. You really need to know who Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben are before Doomsday, because, trust me, they are not going to pause the massive Avengers action to explain their backstories to you. This movie also introduces Galactus, but listen to me carefully here. Pay very, very close attention to Franklin-Richards. That kid is being quietly set up for something absolutely massive down the line. Both the ending and the post-credits scene shove the story directly toward Doomsday. Consider this one a completely non-negotiable watch.
Now we are officially crossing the bridge into the Fox universe. And there's a fundamental truth here we got to accept. If you don't understand these two, you really don't understand the X-Men. Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you to watch all 14 Fox X-Men movies. That is exhausting and honestly totally unnecessary. But you absolutely must focus on the dynamic between Professor X and Magneto, their friendship, their fallout, their clashing ideologies. They are the beating heart of the mutant world. You need to understand them to get what's coming next.
Start with the year 2000's X-Men. That gives you your baseline introduction to Professor X, Magneto, and the whole team. Then jump to 2011's First Class so you can truly understand the deep ideological split between Charles and Eric. Follow that up with 2003's X2, which honestly is a personal favorite of mine, and it perfectly peaks the characters' stories. Finally, 2014's Days of Future Past. Let me stress this right now. Days of Future Past is the absolute masterclass in timeline manipulation. If you grasped how the past and future collide in that film, you will literally be miles ahead of everyone else sitting in the theater for Doomsday.
And man, that brings us perfectly to Deadpool and Wolverine. On the surface, yeah, it looks like this fun, totally chaotic action comedy. And it definitely is. But underneath all those jokes, this movie officially stitches the Fox X-Men lore right into Marvel's current multiverse framework, using the TVA to do it. It sets up Wolverine's role going forward in these really subtle ways, and that connection it draws between what Fox built and what Marvel is building right now, that is the exact bridge that Doomsday is going to walk across. It sets the stage perfectly.
Okay, let's take a quick breath. That 11 project list, that's your ultimate fluff-free foundation. But what if you blast through it early and want to go the extra mile? Let me quickly pitch you these 3 bonuses.
First, Infinity War. If Endgame is the foundation, Infinity War is the whole reason it exists. Doing a rewatch makes the stakes of Doomsday feel so much more visceral and real. Second, Logan. Now, it's not connected to the multiverse, but it is undeniably the best Wolverine story ever told. Knowing it just adds this immense, tragic weight to his return. And third, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This one kind of flies under the radar, right? But the entities connected to those rings actually hint at an unexplained massive cosmic threat. Since Doomsday is pulling from literally every corner, it's a really smart watch just to know what might be lurking in the background.
I really want to leave you with this one number, 20. You do not need to watch 60 hours of content, but you do need the right 20 hours. If you take the time to absorb these specific 11 films and the Loki series, you are going to intimately understand the TVA, multiverse mechanics, incursions, the Fantastic Four, and the entire legacy of the X-Men. Walking in with this highly curated foundation means you aren't just sitting down to watch a movie. You are feeling a massive payoff that has been quietly building behind the scenes for years.
And that pretty much wraps up our guide. But honestly, I want to hear from you guys. What did I miss? What is your personal, absolute, essential Doomsday prep? I am genuinely curious, so drop your essential watch picks down in the comments below. If this explainer helped you cut through all the noise out there, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Cloudy Cinema for more Doomsday guides as we get closer and closer to release. So, before you head to the theater, ask yourself, are you just going to watch Doomsday, or are you ready to actually understand it?
I'm Akarshan, and I'll catch you in the next one.